Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from Mousesteps.com.
And this is episode number 192.
192.
Of Mousesteps Weekly.
Sponsored by MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel. They have 80 vacation planners and they can book you for Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, Aulani, and pretty much anywhere around the world.
That sounds tremendous.
It is tremendous. And the new Hotel Sapphire Falls just opened at Universal, and they handle that as well.
Sounds good. Very good to me. Also, Theme Park Connection, our original sponsor, they are going to be at the Disneyana Convention Show and Sale this Saturday, tomorrow, as we record this. And I'm told if you mention Mouse Step sent you, you will get 10% off your entire purchase
They
there.
should be giving
They should give you, absolutely. And also, Maple Leaf Tickets, our official ticket agency.
And we will be talking about medieval times today. We were invited there, and Maple Leaf Tickets does have discounted tickets to medieval times.
Sounds great. We're going to start the show at Universal Studios, Florida.
And our first stop when we arrived, well, our first stop now will be to eat, and that was at Finnegans. This is my favorite restaurant in Universal Studios or Islands of Adventure. This is the one that I tend to want to come to the most. It's an Irish pub, and it had live music. A lot of times it has live music when we're there.
Right.
And the food is very reasonable price, which is really how most of Universal's restaurants are.
It really is. I mean, amazingly reasonable. I mean, the atmosphere is tremendous. I just love it in there. It does feel like a small little Irish pub. And it really works. Again, they used to have happy hour specials. I'm not sure if they still do that.
You know what? I don't think they do the happy hour specials anymore, but the food is so well priced that, well, I didn't really ever do the happy hour since I don't drink that much, but, okay, before your meal, you get the Irish soda bread, which is excellent, and that's one of my favorite things.
Well, and it's on a shamrock plate too, which is the cutting board. We'll have to get one of those for the house, I think.
So I thought that was very nice. And this is a fish and chips. It's on the upper end of the prices at $14.99. Our friend had gotten that. And I guess
we felt we should put it in because it's a classic. It's probably the most popular item there. It is a Irish bar or Irish pub. So, might as well show it. Now, speaking of the traditional Irish, I had the bangers and mash, which was wonderful and very reasonable. I think only $12.99.
$12.99 plus we get our 10% off annual pass discount. So you really like this because you've ordered this one before.
I've ordered it in the UK, and it's very, very similar. So I can't say anything but good things about that. And
this is something that I get pretty much every time. It's called Newcastle Chicken, and it is $11.99 minus my discount. And it has root vegetables and mashed potatoes, and it is so filling. And so we definitely recommend Finnegans.
And moving on, it was the debut of Doc Brown driving the DeLorean for a new meet and greet they're having there with the DeLorean.
And we have seen Doc Brown. We saw him on the Back to the Future Day.
That was in October, right?
And I think he is out normally at a different location. But I guess through summer, sometime next month, they will have him with the DeLorean, every day?
Every single day. In the first two sets, they'll be having a band there that plays Back to the Future music, just like we saw again on Back to the Future Day. We'll link to that in the show notes so you get an idea of how it was. It's a more elaborate meet and greet. I mean, how cool is it to see him driving the time machine right up to you? And this is very suspicious. It looks like he has a little plutonium there. Very interesting. What he needs is a Mr. Fusion. Then he won't.
I don't know what that is.
You'll have to rewatch the films.
Did
not we just watch all three?
We did.
Not
but
long ago.
I don't really remember that much about them that I didn't remember from before. I don't study films like most films.
I see.
Ratatouille maybe a little more, but most films I don't.
He's kind of saying that we did not see this. We did not see any of this.
But we totally saw it and you videotaped it.
Well, he wants to make sure we forget about it. It's sort of like Men in Black. I think he wants to do that little clicker to make us forget. But anyway, it was a great meet and greet. I look forward to doing that again. And of course, I love to talk to the characters. There's a lot of characters that meet at Universal. You could spend all day doing nothing but meeting characters, and you'll probably meet like 30 or 40 different ones right along this street, actually.
I think we know somebody who did that, like where they met all of the different characters, and like you said, that you have the Betty Boop and the Woody Woodpecker, like all kinds of Marilyn Monroe you can meet, and you don't even think of her as a character, but here she is.
Scooby-Doo and the entire Scooby gang there, too. So anyway, we're getting off the subject. This is Doc Brown. He was great as always. Again, love the characters at Universal. Speaking of characters, though, new characters also arrived that day, and here they are now.
And maybe we hadn't heard of the movie until recently, and it's called Kubo and the Two Strings, which opens on August 19th. Like here you have Monkey and you have Beetle coming out. You're going to have also Kubo over there. So in the film, Monkey will be portrayed by Charlize Theron, and then Matthew McConaughey is Beetle. So they have a really good name cast. And the studio, this is going to be a stop motion and CGI film. Like they have puppets for all of these characters. And so that part will be stop motion. And it opens on August 19th. I think it's called Leica, who did the Paranorman and films like that. So it should be really a good film. I think a lot of their films are really fantastic.
I knew nothing about it. I had heard nothing about it until you told me about this meet and greet. And now that I've looked at the previews, it does look really good. I look forward to checking it out. The backdrop that says Hollywood has already been replaced. If you go to meet them now, it is a full Kubo and the Two Strings background. So it's much nicer now.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see them before they leave. And I believe around the 29th is going to be their last day. They're here to promote the film. And just like the Paranorman characters were here to promote their film, and you don't really see them anymore. So,
Speaking of film.
Secret Life of Pets. They have so much merchandise. So if you love the movie, they have different items than I've seen online in some areas. Although I believe you can go onto the Universal site now and see some of this merchandise. But they have Tervis, and we love Tervis.
That Tervis came home with us, the one with the blue top there.
Yes, we got that one. And they have so many different shirts. I don't know why they don't have the cat on so many items, because I'm a cat person.
Because dogs are better.
They aren't,
That's what he said. That's what the dog said.
But that's not true. The cats are better because cats are independent and you don't have to walk them or anything. They can just sit around, and I'm a cat person. So I love dogs, but I love cats better.
Anyway, we're jumping ahead to Islands of Adventure, who also have one of these standalone stores. I love this shirt, though. I find your lack of treats disturbing. And the utterly, you barely see the utterly. So that's very much a Darth Vader reference, if you ask me. I thought that was my favorite shirt there. Mm-hmm. Too bad it was only available in kid sizes.
There's the cat.
Yes.
And then you also have...
I disagree. I like the dog. Look at how happy the dog is. The cat does not seem as fun.
I am more like a cat.
Anyway, let's move on to the Toothsome Chocolate. Not Willy Wonka, the Toothsome Chocolate Factory.
Right, and that will be opening this fall. It's a 19th century inspired steampunk chocolate factory. Staff will be wearing steampunk fashion, and then there'll be unique twists on classic steak, seafood and pasta entrees, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, and then they'll have milkshakes including espresso buzz and red velvet. So it should be very interesting, and because it is I believe it's a Universal property, so I would expect it to be fairly reasonably priced, because that is generally the way Universal restaurants have been.
Well, we've never stepped foot in the NBA restaurant.
I believe that's what that was. Yes.
So, and I guarantee we're going to step foot in this place.
Probably pretty quickly.
If we're any indication of the popularity, I think it was a good choice for them. Anyway, we're going to jump ahead. Skull Island, Reign of Kong. We finally wrote it one day before they officially opened it. We didn't even know that they were opening it the next day.
I didn't know they were grand opening it either. So we finally made it out there, which is it was a good timing.
And these are the vehicles. You ride in these giant sort of truck-like vehicles. Each one has a different driver with a whole different personality.
40-foot, 17-ton expedition vehicles is what they say. The adventure begins, this is what Universal says, as guests are transported deep into a mysterious world where the mission is to discover creatures of unknown origin with the Eighth Wonder Expedition Company.
All right, let me put that in English.
I have no idea what that means.
Basically, you're going to meet Kong before Kong was ever discovered and brought back to America.
Is that true?
That's what I'm told.
I have no idea.
We went with a cast member who works there.
You should have said that before I just read
described all this information. Did you not see the giant doors opening there? This is more of the Peter Jackson film Kong than the old Fay Ray 1930s Kong.
Did I see it? I don't even remember if I saw
it.
Peter Jackson. Okay, well, apparently I saw it.
What I love about this is the very elaborate queue. It's such an interesting queue. It kind of reminds me of being a combination of the Indiana Jones queue in California and the Mummy queue here. So interesting things happen to you while you're waiting to get on the ride.
Okay, Jeff loved the queue. this queue pretty much freaked me out. So Indiana Jones one in California does not freak me out.
Well, there
It's a
are
little
things
dark.
that you like if you pull the rope or if you pull
In California, there
things
are a
can
few
happen
things, yes.
to you there. Also at the Mummy, things happen too. There's very interactive. You could be startled and scared a little bit, sort of like this one with the scare. And you're looking at the catacombs now.
I must block a lot out, and like when we did the one in Hollywood, I don't really remember it, but I'm thinking it's probably because I did the same thing that I do on here, and it's take my 3D glasses off and close my eyes for much of it. So.
Are you? Oh, you're talking about the ride, getting
Yes,
to
the
the ride
ride,
itself,
yes.
right? The 3D, the
Well,
3D
this is
ride.
probably why I don't remember things. It's because I close my eyes.
Well, if you're in the queue and you just happen to be looking into the caves, you might see something like this. And this is not a real person. This is not the
it's
scare
probably,
actor.
It's probably a real person projected into there, though.
Right. It's very realistic. I'll tell you that. It's quite startling if you don't know it's coming.
And I looked ahead, so I was not watching that either. So I was told kind of, keep my face forward and stay to the left.
Now, this part is phenomenal for me. It's an animatronic, and it looks like there's some kind of ceremony going on. Fire is involved. It gets more and more intense as you go along, and you'll see as we get closer how amazing the animatronic is.
This is probably going to be my one time going.
You will never go through this again? Too
I-
intense? Is
It's
it too intense?
It's a little intense for me, yes.
And this isn't even where the performer, I got to make sure I don't say scare actor. What is it? What do they
Live
call
performer.
Live
I just
performer.
mean the whole overall experience is a little intense for me. I am fairly like my attractions to be a little bit more mild.
Aha.
You know that.
Well, I know. I'm just kind of playing along with this whole thing. Okay, so why don't we just jump ahead and talk about the ride itself? Since they didn't allow any video recording for the ride, I can tell you it's very similar to what they have in Hollywood in the tram tour, where it's a 3D. There's a lot of loud sounds. Kong sort of attacks you and shakes your vehicle up, stuff like that. You did not watch much of it,
I
though.
didn't. I took the 3D glasses off pretty quickly. And I'm not anti 3D. It's just like if something is like a big pterodactyl or something is flying at me and, looks like it's going to get me, then I don't want to watch that part. So I just took them off, closed my eyes, and just...
But you still saw some of it.
A little bit.
And you saw totally the highlight for me of the entire attraction was the giant, larger-than-life Kong.
That was very impressive, and I did look at that.
And that reminded me, at least it reminded me of the old Kongs in Kongfrontation in the one in California as well. Oh, but let's quickly change the subject, though. This part of the queue is where the scare actor or character performer would lurk around and jump out and scare the people. Most people enjoyed it. People were laughing. There's a lot of screaming and yelling, but you do not like that kind of thing.
I didn't even see the performer.
Luckily, again, we are with our friend who warned us where all this stuff would be, so you were able to avoid it. I, on the other hand, was shooting into these holes to try to capture, and I think at one point you can see his arm come out and startle us, and you'll see that in about a second. But if you're like Denise, and there's the scare actor. If you're like Denise and you don't want that, my advice is just stick to the left.
That's what our friend said.
Right, if you stick to the left-hand wall, you will fully avoid that. By the way, here is a little hidden Empire State Building kind of tribute from the old 1933, I believe 33, original film.
That was the first time I actually saw the scare actor, or the live performer. I had not seen that at all, not even in
just
video.
now?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So are you glad then you did not see that in person?
Of course, I looked straight ahead, stayed to the left, and kept on moving.
But some people
best.
like that. I mean, I also enjoy Halloween Horror Nights where you do not. So,
Not at all.
It's not for everybody, but going in, they tell you that. So,
Right.
Oh, let's talk about this. This is another great effect in the queue.
Well, I looked it up because I wasn't sure what it was, and it might be, it's kind of like a Mongolian death worm, which may or may not be real. I can't really tell by looking online, but that's what it looks like.
Well, it looks very menacing to me, although I remember when we were there in person, there was a little girl who had her head right up against the glass. Probably that's why there's all these smudges on the glass. And fearless, looking at this thing coming right after, at her head there. So that was kind of fun to watch. But anyway, we will wrap up our thoughts then. For me, I preferred the old Kongfrontation because I am a fan of the actual physical animatronics, physical sets. This kind of relied on a lot of screens, very much, almost all screens. So I'm old school. I prefer physical sets. So that's my thing. This, for what it is, I think it's a great attraction. But I just prefer the old school.
And I would consider it like an e-ticket attraction. There is Kong, but I prefer the old one too, also because it wasn't for me as scary.
And I miss banana breath. I do miss the Kong and the old Kongfrontation. He would have banana breath. But if you
Minions,
if you
like
if
Minions.
you if you like banana breath, though, not only can you get the Kong dog, although
We didn't get
I'm not
that.
quite sure the Kong dog looks that appetizing to me. The relish is very green.
I wouldn't be
No
interested.
Kong dog
No.
for you. But they also have a banana frozen banana drink.
Oh, well, we usually like frozen. We just had a frozen banana shake at Red Robin
Exactly.
when they had their test day, and I never have shakes.
And also coming soon, the return of the Incredible Hulk coaster.
Well, this has been closed for about 8 months now. They're going to have a new story, updated ride vehicles. The track should be the same, and they're going to have new audio. So we did see a test run when we were sitting. I think we were over at Harry Potter
Land
getting
having some butterbeer. Yeah.
And we watched every so often they would have the cars out on the track. So it should be pretty soon when they open this. I thought they said late summer, but if they already have the cars out, maybe
Right.
they'll have it sooner.
I can't wait. I love this coaster, one of my favorite coasters. So it'll be between this and Mako when they get that open, I think. It looked incredibly smooth. So, we always have such a great time at Universal. I can't wait to go back.
Well, this one
full day.
already was smooth, and supposedly it's going to be maybe even a little smoother. So
And
that would
more
be-
seats for larger riders, I heard.
So it'll
it
be
used to
more
be only
comfortable.
one larger rider seat in the middle. Now they'll have one in the front row, the back row, and the middle. So you can choose where to,
Well,
to
that's
sit.
nice.
I think that's a
I
nice
think
bonus.
I think that is good.
So now we're going to move over to Disney, a little quick Disney talk. First off, at the Magic Kingdom, a friend of ours sent us some video of the Haunted Mansion. This is what the Haunted Mansion normally looks like, the facade there, the actual mansion itself. Study these pictures, and you're about to see what has happened to the mansion right now. It has kind of disappeared. I think they're refurbing it, but it's interesting to see the mansion itself is completely gone.
Well, most of it anyway looks not the show building, but definitely the facade of it. And we were told maybe for 4 months, but I don't know if that's going to be accurate or not.
Right.
We were actually told two different things from two very generally accurate sources, so who knows?
And fear not, if you're a fan of the Haunted Mansion, it remains open. The ride itself is completely unaffected by this. This is just for aesthetics, The mansion itself was almost 45 years old. I believe it was made of wood, so it's probably just time to redo it.
Is it made of wood?
Yeah.
I had
If you
no
look at
idea.
some of the old construction pictures, that mansion facade, all wood.
Well, very
It is Florida,
interesting.
so
Yes.
sometimes you need a change. Now we're going to jump over to the boardwalk.
And we can see here the Flying Fish, which is going to be open, I think, this fall, and it loses its cafe, and it's going to change inside and on the menu. And the Abracadabar is going to be next door, where the ice cream used to be, and Disney calls it a curious cocktail lounge, and combining the golden age of magic with the magic of Disney storytelling.
Interesting.
Yes,
Very
so it should be
interesting.
fun.
I wonder if it'll be on the Trader Sam's type of a place.
It sort of sounds like it because it's going to have a lot of theming to it, so that will be fun.
Sounds good. Also, Big River was celebrating their 20th anniversary, and we went to check out. We've not done one of these. It's called a tapping that they have every couple of months, and on tap this particular night was this Big Score Bourbon Oak English Barley Wine. Actually, it's just a beer, but a very strong beer, 10% alcohol. So a real kick. Only $3 the beers were, and free appetizers. Why don't you talk about the appetizers there?
Well, when you go to these tappings, which again we haven't been to, but we've been planning on it for like the last few years, every couple months they give you free appetizers. They had wild boar and bison this time. With your $3 beer. I had a $3 iced tea.
Well, you did have a couple of the bison
I did.
burgers.
I had.
They were very good.
I had the bison sliders, and I had the iced tea. So it was nice that I didn't know if I'd be able to have the appetizers because I was just having an iced tea, but I could.
Lest we forget the cake. A
And that was a
giant
good
cake.
one.
It was actually a very good. Normally, I'm an ice cream cake kind of fan, but this was very good as well.
Well, happy 20th to Big River. I can't believe it's been there that long, but we visit every so often. Again, this was the first, beer tapping event we had gone to, and it was definitely well worth it.
And we met some nice people, and of course, there is the brewmaster there. So a great time, and I will definitely go back next time they have one of these tappings.
I think it was like $13.
It was embarrassingly small of a bill.
But we tipped well.
Yes,
so.
yes, of course. Sadly, while we were there, though, we found out some very disturbing news. You wouldn't tell by that picture, but shortly after that, you checked the phone, and we found out about the latest situation in France. So, of course, we had to go and pay our respects over there to the France Pavilion. We were going to go anyway.
We were going to head over there anyway because we wanted to see the Bastille Day decorations, but it turned out that it was, more melancholy, although you wouldn't know it by the cast members, who I thought were phenomenal. They must have all been really hurting and all, and they still were smiling and acting as normal, which I think must have been very difficult, but they did a great job with that.
So our thoughts are with all our friends and really everyone in France, and we can't wait to get back there next year as soon as we can.
And next we headed to the Boardwalk, back to the Boardwalk for Ample Hills Creamery. I believe it's been open about a month now, but we had not yet made it over.
I really like the decor in here, starting with the castle. Looks like a Cinderella type castle.
Well, they have all kinds of icons from the different parks, and of course also the Boardwalk, as you can see here with the different animals.
Very accurate. Fast driving down those hills. And I like that you could still see an Eiffel Tower somewhere on Disney property. That's a nice touch also.
Right. Hopefully they don't remove it. And there is there's Spaceship Earth.
Right.
And this is supposed to be a turn-of-the-century style ice cream parlor with 16 signature ice cream flavors, milkshakes, sundaes, etc. Now this is an ordering flow chart, so you can kind of read that while you're waiting to order. And I think you can sample items. We didn't do that. And there are so many different kinds of ice cream here. This is the first location outside New York City, and everything here is handcrafted.
And we did try the Sally Sells Seashells, say that 10 times fast. That was one of the flavors we picked. And we also had the Malted Salty Pretzel Punch, which had giant pretzels in there. Very good.
Well, I believe the Seashells one is only for this location, not their New York locations. And there is your ice cream with the cone on top.
And the cone was very thin and brittle, as you could see. It kind of fell apart, and that's why they gave us the complimentary cup there. But everything was good. I would definitely go back again. I thought the ice cream was great, and I highly recommend the Ample Hills. What about you?
I enjoyed it. I mean, we didn't order the flavor I normally would have chosen, so I would have gotten the dark chocolate. I'm such a chocolate
That means
fan.
we'll have to go back?
Yes, we'll have to go back. And we ended the evening with Star Wars fireworks, which were unplanned, but we could see them from the Boardwalk, so it was very
It's a
nice.
great view, actually. If you time it just right and you're sitting there having your ice cream, the fireworks are beautiful from that area. So now we're going to completely shift gears again. We're all over the place this week.
I know, we have so many topics.
So let's talk about medieval times.
So last week we had been invited by Medieval Times to come. We hadn't seen the show in 4 or 5 years, so it was really time to come back. It's a very, very popular and very well-reviewed show in Kissimmee. Maybe 20 minutes from Walt Disney World or so if you have a car. So we went, and actually we had a fantastic time, and we're going to say there was something there that we had no idea was there.
Right, and we're going to show that at the end. We learned a lot. I mean,
we did.
We really learned a lot this trip. First, though, we were in the yellow section. When you book Medieval Times, they put you in one of 6 different colored sections, and we happened to get the yellow section, and that means the Yellow Knight was our knight, and there he is. Look at how popular, extremely popular.
And it's funny because, the guests, I'm fairly quiet most of the time, so I just kind of sit there and watch. But guests here get so into it.
Oh, totally into it.
The times we've been there, just like, yay! Like, everybody is so crazy. They enjoy it.
Well, now we're setting up the characters. So we have the king here. What is his name? I know you have that.
King Don Carlos.
Yes, okay.
And Princess, is it Catalina?
Catalina, yes, of course. Princess Catalina.
So I always forget names, and I'm not sure who the host's name is, but we saw him last time. He's been there many years, and he's a fantastic one.
But it turns out a lot of these people have been there for years and years, so that's good. Now here we're looking at some of the horse acts here. There's a name for this trick that the horse is doing, and I, of course, don't remember it.
I'm not sure. I'm not very familiar with horses. I don't go to horse shows and such, so I just kind of watch and enjoy.
Apparently, it's a very difficult thing.
It looks like it.
So that is what you're watching there. Now we're going to talk about the food. There are no knives, no utensils of any kind. It's just like medieval times. You eat with your hands and your hands only. So you have chicken. That's a half of a chicken. Mm-hmm. And do you know you can actually bring it home if you don't finish?
We had never thought to ask for a to-go box, but
who knew?
The guest next to us asked for one, and it's like, oh, okay. So we got to bring some food home.
You may not be able to tell, but it is a huge portion. And also you have a potato there. You have corn on the cob. There's also a soup that comes in a cup and a dessert course, and also a coffee.
Well, you have garlic bread, tomato bisque soup, roasted chicken, corn, potato, and then you get 2 rounds of like Pepsi products or iced tea. And I will say it probably is my second favorite meal in the area for a dinner show next to Hoop-Dee-Doo as far as dinner shows.
Yeah, the food was great. I can't say anything.
Excellent.
Yeah, very, very good.
Personally, I find it excellent.
And here's the main thing you're seeing is this jousting. This is extremely interesting to watch. I mean, they're going full force, and those big poles are breaking and everything. It's kind of like wrestling in a way. It's a drawn out act. Nobody knows who's going to win.
But I wonder if they all know who's going to win. Like, I don't know if there's an element of extra skill where maybe you don't know who will win, but maybe the same person wins all the time. We don't go often enough to know.
Well, in this case, our knight has been really burning up the course here. He's worked his way all the way up to the finals, and now he's about to completely win. So the yellow knight won.
We were in the good section.
Yes. So that was very exciting, and I had no idea this was going to happen, but he's actually going to come and pay a visit right in front of us. So that was quite interesting.
Oh, I think to a child in the audience.
I believe the family in front of us that was having a birthday. So it was quite interesting. I mean, we're just sitting there, and all of a sudden, here he comes, and the princess too, right in front of us. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Well, while we were there, like they'll, when they're on the horses, I believe they were throwing up flowers and
correct
such to people, so I thought that was nice. Everybody's like, I want one.
Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a great time there. It seems like they have more jousting and more action than when we had gone 4 or 5 years ago. So I think it was a slightly different show. Now here's the surprise we're talking about: the medieval village. I had no idea this was even there.
I didn't know either. I thought this was as good as a show. We really enjoyed it. I mean, just coming back here reminds me of going to like Europe, a Tower of London type
Very
area.
much like a Tower of London. And the things in here are really, really old, like hundreds, in some cases, thousands of years old.
Well, I don't know if thousands, but many, many hundreds, up to like 1,000 years old some of these pieces are. So, I mean, I was very surprised like that. It's like a museum back here, and they had a few guides to tell you about the different items in here. There was one area, and it is a torture chamber area.
That's the only area where they aren't authentic items.
I think there's a few other ones that aren't. Like here, I believe these clothing items were made more recently, maybe in the last 30 years or so, not like today. And I think we were told that they used to even have artisans here so that when guests were coming back, they could see them doing their crafts.
So we would highly recommend, if you go to Medieval Times, take a little extra time,
Absolutely.
Explore the village. It's well worth your time to do.
I love the village. And you can get there 75 minutes early and see the village and then go see the show.
And speaking of shows, that's another show.
That's another show.
So we want to thank our sponsors, MEI Travel, Mouse Fan Travel.
And MapleLeafTickets.com.
And our original sponsor, Theme Park Connection. Thanks everyone for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a great week.